Hi folks, I thought I would do a little land navigation practice today. And one of the things that seem to confuse a lot of people, and it is kind of hard to understand sometimes, is the difference between magnetic north and true north. And what you're seeing in front on your screen right now is called the declination diagram. And simply what that tells you is the difference between the artificial north that your map is oriented to and the magnetic north that your compass points to. In this case, this is true north, or at least reference north that this map is oriented to. This is magnetic north, so this is 15 degrees of east deviation. What that means is that, let's say you're here and you wanted to go due north on the map. You've plotted a course due north. If you follow your compass due north, it's going to take you this way, 15 degrees away. What that means is if you were to travel for 60 miles, with a 15-degree error, you would be 15 miles away from where you want to be after 60 miles. It's pretty simple how you convert grid to magnetic or magnetic to grid. Well, that's how they say it in the military. Maybe true north to magnetic and vice versa. So you've plotted a true north course on your map. 0 degrees or 360 degrees, they're the same thing. You want to follow a magnetic compass. So in this case, you have to subtract 15 degrees from 360 to follow your magnetic course, which would be 345 degrees. That would then allow you to follow a course directly this way. Like I said, that's 0 degrees magnetic. This is 345 degrees magnetic. Hopefully that explains it. It's pretty simple to do. If you have west deviation, it works the same way, except the arrow is going to be pointing over here for magnetic north, and that means you then have to add that difference. Let's say this was 15 degrees west. If you were following 0 degrees magnetic, you would be going this way. So you would have to follow a 15-degree magnetic course to go here. Anyways, I hope that helps. It's pretty simple. I ignore the Lars rule and the Rawls rules. People are always throwing that out there. To me, that just confuses the issue. So I'm going to go out in the field and see how this works. This is my crappy, cheap lensatic compass. I got it at the PX probably 30 plus years ago for $2 or $3, or $1.99, whatever it was. But it works pretty well considering how cheap it is. It's not well made, but it works. There's a little bit of magnetic error in it, and it usually takes me about 2 degrees west of the actual course, but I know that, so I just compensate for that. You don't have to go out and spend $70 or $80 for an expensive compass to use one effectively. This will do the job fine. You just have to know its limitations and know how to work with it. And as you notice inside the cover, I wrote down the rules for east and west magnetic deviation, how to compensate or how to convert. So if I forget or if I'm tired and not thinking clearly, the stuff is there. The information is there. Okay, here's the course that I have plotted on the map. Cheap map the park puts out, but it's accurate enough for what I'm using it for. Here's a parking area, and I'm simply going to follow a 120-degree magnetic course to this T in a road. And in between, I will be breaking brush, crossing through woods, and all kinds of fun stuff. And we'll see how we do. Okay, so here I am. I'm at just a local state park. And I'm going to be going a little bit cross-country for this land nav problem. I just create my own landmarks, and I start from a known position, and I head towards a known position, and I stay off the trail. So I'm going to be going right through there at a magnetic heading of about 120 degrees, and off the trail the whole way. And it's easy to do. Just get a map. If you have a local area you want to go to, get a map and just pick your own little course. It doesn't have to be long or involved. Just enough to test your skills or practice. One thing that I don't do out here, and I probably should, is I don't count my steps. I'm going about a half a mile. Really no chance of me getting lost. This is not a huge park. So I probably should start counting steps, though, just to keep track of distance traveled, because in real life you do that. Okay, so what am I doing here? Where am I going? Well, basically what I'm doing is there's a road right there. And then there's a T in the road, and that's my landmark that I'm heading for. But what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to follow a course that will bring me up here somewhere. That way I follow the road south to get to the T. So how am I getting there? Well, this is pretty thick brush in some ways. I have to go through it. So even though I can see through it in many places, it's still a matter of going around in some spots. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a bead on a landmark, a tree or a bush in the distance, as far away as I can see anyways, that lines up with my magnetic heading. And then I'm going to head towards it. Sometimes you can't get to it exactly, or sometimes it doesn't, landmark does not fall exactly on your magnetic heading, so you stand to the left or the right. And what if you get there and you can't recognize your landmark? Well, then you try to turn around and get a 180-degree reverse azimuth to where you came from, if you can see it. If not, well, sometimes you just have to accept the fact that you've got a few feet or a few dozen feet of error in your course. That happens. Okay, here's my landmark. Just this big tree, very visible in contrast to the other trees because the bark is missing. Most of these are dark, and so this one stood out. And my actual azimuth was right about here, just to the left of it a little. So I'm going to take another one. I'm going to pick something out up ahead that lines up with my azimuth, and then I'll walk towards it. And that's how you do this. You just keep doing this. Now, if you had more than one person, you could send a person out there as far as you could and just have them stand exactly on your azimuth and wait. I don't have that luxury, so I will pick a landmark as close to my azimuth as I can. Okay, here's my next landmark, and the azimuth actually fell to the right of this big tree here. But as you can see, there's a lot of thick brush in places, and it opens up in some spots. This is old farmland, most of it, and secondary growth. So you're going to have a lot of trees and brush, and then a lot of open areas. So counting steps I don't think will help me that much here, since I have to go around some of the thicker brush. It just doesn't make sense to try and go through it. But I'm going to take another shot. I wish I could show you how I do that with the compass, but it just won't show up on this, I don't think. Maybe I'll try it when I get home, just as a representative. Okay. Well, I know this is going to be really difficult to see, but my next bearing is right up through there, past all that brush, and you can see that kind of tall tree. It looks like it's maybe 200, 150 feet up ahead. So I have to go through all of this, and I will meet you up there in a few minutes. Okay, well, I made it here. Fortunately, I didn't have to go through that. I found a deer path that went around it. And as long as you can get close to your landmarks, you can maintain a pretty steady average course. And of course, you can't always get right next to it. But, you know, if you, say, are a little too far on the left, maybe the next time move a little to the right and try to average out those errors. Oh, I thought I saw a deer. Anyways, I'm going to take my next shot. I'll be heading through there somewhere. And my sense is that I'm at least halfway. It's not a very far journey, half a mile or so, as I said. But when you're breaking through all of this brush, and a lot of them have thorns and pickers and everything else on them. So it takes a lot longer than you think. That's where counting can be of benefit. Counting your steps, time won't help you very much because you have no idea of the rate of travel you're going. But that being said, using counting steps when I'm going around stuff, you know, I think you'd almost have to come up with an average for going around obstructions like that and just use that. Just an idea. All right, I'll talk to you in a bit. Well, here's some pretty big trees right here. This is my landmark. That's looking back the way I came. You can see most of the other flora is a lot younger. So I'm guessing that these big trees indicate an old fence line. And fence lines tend to run north, south, east, and west, although that's not a hard and fast rule. Just depending on where the property owners owned their land at one point. Anyhow, my next direction is in that way. And I'm not sure. I might see the road through there. I'll find out in a minute and let you know. Well, this is a fence line. It's what I thought might have been the road back there. The terrain is just kind of rising a little bit here
probably just from stuff over the years that has accumulated in the fence. I don't know if they plowed this area or not in the past. That could account for it, but it's slightly higher right along the edge here, and I am still continuing on that way on the other side of the tree, and back through those other trees I can start to see some pines, and I know the pines, there are pines on the other side of the road that I'm heading towards, so maybe I'm closer, and if not, I'll just keep going. Okay, I'll see you when I get there. Okay, there's the pine trees behind me. They are not the ones by the road that I thought they might be. So this is when people start panicking. Oh no, we're lost. You don't know where we're at. Call 911. Well, not to worry. We're still following our course, which is going to head that way. I see a ladder through the woods there. Somebody's hunting blind. There is hunting out here. And I see more pine trees up ahead through all of those trees, and more importantly, I see a road there. 90% sure that's a road this time. At any rate, yeah, there's a sign there too. You can't see it, but we are on our course, so I'm going to head that way. And the cowards can stay here or turn back. Okay, well here is the road, and I actually came out on the road just around that curve up there, about 200 yards up or so. A little farther north than I had intended, but still in the correct direction for me to head south along this road and find where it intersects with that road, where the T is. So I was a little farther off than I had intended to be, as I said, but the navigation was still good enough to get me where I wanted to go. And that's kind of the point of this. It's practicing, getting down the procedure, and picking landmarks that you know you can find. Now, this didn't take me very long. I think I was out here an hour, maybe less. I think it was something like a half a mile to 3/4 of a mile through the brush there. So it's a fun little afternoon. It would be funner if I could get some of my friends to come along, but they're pansies. No, they just work. And anyways, if you want to try it, you know, find a safe location, let somebody know where you're going, learn how to do it, and just go out and do it. Talk to you later.